Alright, today is Tuesday. I think it's July 30th. I'm not exactly sure, 2013. I'm in the central Wisconsin town of Eland, E-L-A-N-D. And this is what's supposed to be the Wiowash Bike Trail, W-I-O-W-A-S-H. It started about 5 miles up there in a town called Burnamwood, but at the terminus up there, the trail looked pretty sketchy, really rural. More like snowmobile trail than anything else. You can tell this is where the railroad line used to roll through town. And this part of it actually looks like bike trail. So I'm going to eventually head that way. But first I'm going to turn around and head back north and see if I can make it to Burnamwood. I got the bikes on the bag today, or the bag's on the bike today, because the weather has been rainy all day long and the weather's a little sketchy, so I brought some rain gear in case I need it. But we'll head that way and see how far it gets before this trail turns into snowmobile trail. Alright, I ran into somebody who knows what they're talking about, and that is not the Wiowash Trail. That's the other trail I came here to ride. That's the Mountain Bay Trail. The Wiowash looks exactly like it did in Burnamwood. They're right next to each other in this town of Eland, but that grass path right there is the one that takes me up to Burnamwood, and that's exactly what it looked like up there. So, DNR website calls this a bike trail. I'm going to give it a try. We'll see how far I get. Alright, I haven't gotten very far in. I'm only about a mile down the path, but I wanted to stop, and I'm at Norrie Road, north of Eland. I wanted to stop and show you what this turned into. Back there in that little bitty town, you had to pretty much use your imagination and pretend you were on a trail because you were just driving through the park. But this actually is a two-path gravel trail, and that's more than doable on the kind of bike I'm riding on. And the best part of it is it's just through the middle of nowhere. I haven't seen or heard a thing yet. There's no traffic to be heard. There's nothing. This just goes through woods. And hopefully it'll continue that way all the way to Burnamwood. Alright, I'm about 2.5 miles, about halfway to Burnamwood. And this apparently is a legitimate trail because they had a trailhead here with even has a handicapped access picnic table. This actually has turned into a pretty nice trail. I've ridden a lot of trails that are in worse shape than this. And the beauty of this, I'm not even coming across, there's nothing out here. No roads, no nothing. Exactly at a mile, I'm coming across one of those old section line roads, marking the 1 mile markers that they used to plat out the entire state back in the 1800s. Other than that, this is just wilderness. It's a beautiful ride so far. I've seen more deer in the last 2.5 miles than I've seen in the last 2 years. Alright, here I am. I'm at the northern terminus of this trail. The Wiowash Trail. I'm in Burnamwood, Wisconsin. And that sound you hear right there is the only thing I've seen the entire time I was here. That's right beyond those trees is a lumber mill. I'll get a couple of seconds of video on that on the way out of town. It's Tuesday, so they're at work. Well, the state of Wisconsin's been trying for 25 years, but they haven't managed to ruin all of private commerce. So here's one of the happening enterprises in Burnamwood, the lumber mill. Just a 1/10 of a mile south of that terminus, and it was exactly, where's my speedometer at? Exactly 4 miles. I came across 4 section line roads. Other than that, this is just absolutely deserted. Beautiful ride. All right, I'm back where I began. There's my car. This is 8 miles up to Burnamwood and back. The guy I was talking to earlier said this one on the left is the Mountain Bay Trail. This one on the right is this Wiowash Trail. And they come together right here and go south for a couple of miles out of Eland, and then they diverge again because the Mountain Bay Trail goes east-west across Wisconsin from Green Bay to, I'm going to guess, someplace with mountain in its name. This Wiowash Trail goes south. It's about 4 miles into Wittenburg. From there, I think it's about 8 more miles into Clintonville. But I'm going to stay on this Wiowash Trail, see how far I can get south on that one. And you can almost smell exactly how this used to work back in the day. This is where the two trails diverge. Came out of town on a single rail line. And at some point the train had to choose to go either left and east or right and south. I'm not exactly sure which goes which. The trails, I mean, there's no sign saying which is which, but luckily enough, the Ho-Chunk Nation was kind enough to put a sign there telling me that their casino is 2 miles to the left in Wittenburg. And Wittenburg is where I want to be, so that's the way I'm going. I'm still headed east on this Wiowash Trail, about another 1.5 miles down. There's another rest stop, but there is also one of those there. That's a deer hunting blind. And I'm going to guess it's pretty productive because I've already come across 2 more deer in just this 2 miles, and right back there about 200 yards I had to stop and change my pants because I scared up a turkey. Ain't nothing bigger than a turkey flying over top of your head. I don't know exactly what the story is. I'm guessing that satellite dish is there for looks because there's no way they have satellite TV in that little hovel. This is beautiful though. It's changed from up by Burnamwood. It's all forest. This is like upland prairie all along here. Beautiful wildflowers and everything. Well, despite wanting not to, I have managed to take the wrong trail at that fork back there. So I am apparently headed due east on the Mountain Bay Trail because that is State Highway 45 right there. I'm about 3 miles back to where I started, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back. There's one thing I want to show you along the way on this Mountain Bay Trail, though, because it also is stunningly beautiful. But I'm going to go back to the merge. All right, I'm going to try and take a video of this, but I don't know that the camera will do it justice. I'm about 2.5 miles south of Eland on the Mountain Bay Trail. And this whole thing has turned into, the Mountain Bay Trail has turned into like meadow, upland meadow. These rolling hills through the light woods here. It's just stunning. I mean, the picture all along here for a half a mile now, it's just stunning. It'll take your breath away. I can't imagine what this would look like in the fall. Alrighty, I'm back at the merge. This time I will take the correct trail that keeps me on the Wiowash, which would have been the one on the right, which made sense. I wondered about that when I headed out here because I know that that one goes south and this one goes east. Now why I stayed on the one I knew was going east, I don't know. I like to ride. I'm not a lot smart. But that is the Wiowash Trail. That's where we're going next. Alright, I'm about 3 miles south of Eland, and I'm not exactly sure what this means. I did see this on a map of this trail, though, so... The trail continues on, and there's a sign right there indicating that it's still snowmobile trail through here, but it must go through some farmer's field. Because that sign tells you that the biking and hiking trail goes along this road, and I did see a notch, so... I'm going to follow the instructions and follow this trail and see what happens. Yep, that's exactly what that was. It's just a notch. At some point when they turned the railroad right away over, they must have given this piece of it back to the farmer. He lets the snowmobilers go through there in the winter. But obviously he can't let the bikers go through there in the summer because he's busy growing his paycheck. But the whole detour took you down this, too, very, very smooth. This is a dead-end street. That other one is a nice smooth road, and it's very well marked. So it was no big deal at all. You come down to this sign and right back onto the trail, headed south again. Right, I'm about 2 miles south of Wittenburg here, and I've gone back into forest. This is nothing but canopy. Has been for a mile or better. What I have picked up, unfortunately, you can probably see them zipping past the viewfinder, are flies. Flies by the hundreds. But luckily I have a hat with me because they tend to collect on my bald spot and bite at me. But for now, they're just a nuisance. Alright, I'm at Bluebird Road. Best I can tell, I'm about 4 miles south of Wittenburg. And I'm pretty near the end of being able to ride this trail. This has turned into what I was afraid it would turn into way, way, way back in where I started. Town whose name I've already forgotten. But this is it's pretty much just snowmobile trail now. There's no gravel left. It's not groomed. It hasn't been mowed. I'm still able to get through it because I got pretty wide tires on the hybrid bike, but it's only the end of July. By the end of August, beginning of September, these weeds will be knee-high. You won't even be able to pass on a mountain bike. Alright, I'm at the corner of Mowleg and Beetle Creek Road on this Wiowash Trail. About 1.5 miles, 2 miles back, there at the bottom of this ginormous series of hills, the trail came to a road, Mowleg Road, and the sign said to turn right and come down this road to continue on. But that's the last I saw of any kind of indication of where this trail goes. And it looks like it just from here drops down along more, up another ginormous hill. So I'm going to call this a wash it here. I wouldn't bother riding this trail south of Wittenburg. DNR website calls that a bike trail still, but they can call it a tasty blue dreamsicle if they want. It's not a bike trail. South of Wittenburg, it's snowmobile only. From Wittenburg north, it was a pretty decent trail. But south of there, it's nothing but grass until you get here to Mollig Road, and then it's just a county road that gives you no indication of where the heck you're going or how far it's going to take. So I wouldn't waste my time. I'm going to head back down and head back. All right, for those who think I exaggerate, I was at 23.6 up there at Beetle Creek Road. So it was 1.3 unmarked miles. Up a ginormous hill, down a ginormous hill, up an even bigger hill to Beetle Creek Road. Not a sign between here or there to give you any indication of where you're going or how far it's going to be. So I'm going to turn around here. But first, I'm going to follow this on. I know for a fact there's no way the snowmobiles do what I just did. I'm sure this is snowmobile trail in the winter, so I'm just going to continue on that path and see where it ends. It must end at a cornfield or something. Frankly, that piece of the path there is better than what I've been riding on behind me to start with. So, see you at the end. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. Eventually, about another mile down, you just run out of place. This is just a 2-lane dirt path now. Looks like farm machinery's been through here, but this is no longer a bike path. So I'm going to turn around. Well, here's your clue how unkempt this is south of Wittenburg. I don't know, I didn't check north of Wittenburg, but even the pay box at the trail heads are busted. And that thing there says a $15 annual state pass. I've been riding these trails for 5 years now, and the trail pass has been $20 the whole time. So, again, south of Wittenburg, it's a waste of your time. Alright, I'm back in Wittenburg at the corner of Howard and Reed Street. I'm going to revisit what I said about that part of the trail south of Wittenburg. I'm going to chalk that up to low blood sugar. I had venison sausage for breakfast instead of Wheaties. The part from that busted cash box north into Wittenburg is perfectly fine, and that was like 4.5 miles. So if that means from Burnamwood to Wittenburg and 4.5 miles south, that's 23 miles of trail round trip out and back. So and that's a pretty decent ride. But here's how you got to get through Wittenburg. Way at the other end of that street, if you're coming from the north, they dump you out onto Howard Street. And then you come down Howard Street, but when you get to the dead end of Howard Street, like a lot of this trail for cyclists, there's just no signs. So what you have to do when you get to the end of Howard Street, you take a left and you go down this road here until about where that white building is there. Just past that white building, you're going to come to where Mill Street ends on the left, and the trail picks back up on your right. Obviously, you're coming north, trail ends are right on this road, Reed. You come up here to the very first road, Howard, follow it all the way to the end, and you'll be able to get back on the trail at the other end. But the signage on how you get through Wittenburg is poor at best. But it's a decent ride south for that first 4.5 miles south. Well, I've seen a lot of things on these bike trails, but this is a new one on me. I'm about a mile north of Wittenburg, where the trail crosses. This is State Highway 29. But just like any interstate, it's a regular old controlled access 4-lane freeway. And the trail goes from one side to the other. You connect via this cop turnaround lane. Not gonna lie to you, it's pretty cool to be sitting here in the middle of all this traffic on my bicycle. And that's the end of the ride. Here I am back at my car in Eland. All told, it was a little farther than I thought, round trip. I'll take off 6 miles for my mistake. So it was about 30 miles from Burnamwood to about 5 miles south of Wittenburg and back. And it's a nice trail. It's a nice trail. If you're looking to spend some quality time just contemplating the meaning of life, or you just want to plan that next bank job, it's a great trail to be on, because I didn't come across a single soul in the entire 30 miles of riding. And it's easy to find this town of Eland. That's testimony to how much of your money they have to throw around. The U.S. Postal Service does have a post office here. It's the only business in town, so just look that up as a point of interest on your nav, and it'll bring you right to this parking lot where the trails cross. At this little, I don't know what this is. Some kind of a hobby railroad building. That's the ride.